Welcome to our Palm Sunday worship service. Our service today will feature a reading of the Passion narrative in the Gospel of Mark and lead us into the spiritual journey of Holy Week. On Maundy Thursday, the Last Supper, we celebrate the milestone of First Communion. On Good Friday, we celebrate the death of Jesus in word and song. Easter sunrise, the light of Christ, shining into the darkness of our hearts and our world. And on Easter Sunday, Christ alive, present with us today. You may follow along on the reading on the gray sheet today that's in your bulletin, or simply sit and listen and absorb the message of the Passion narrative according to Mark. Please stand as you're able for our Palm Sunday Gospel and Processional. It was time to celebrate Passover in Jerusalem. When Jesus and the disciples arrived just outside Jerusalem, Jesus sent the disciples to get a colt. Jesus rode the colt into Jerusalem. Huge crowds were there for the Passover festival. Hosanna, the people shouted when they saw Jesus. You are blessed. The people covered the road with coats and palm branches. Jesus, King, they cheered as they waved palm branches in the air. And we sing together, all glory, laud, and honor.
Are I'd like to invite all children to please come forward. I know some of you are already here, but not all of you are already here. And while you are coming forward, I want to make sure, this is my special announcement for today. There is going to be an Easter egg hunt today. So after worship, if you'd like to join us for the Easter egg hunt, I want you to come downstairs in that big fellowship hall. You already found eggs? Okay, don't look for any eggs yet. Don't look yet, okay? We're going to go downstairs. We'll sit at those chairs. I'll tell you all of the rules. You know the rules? What if they're different this year? Well, anybody know why we're doing the Easter egg hunt today? Is it Easter today? It's Palm Sunday, which means Easter is 1 week away. And what a week it's going to be. Yeah. At church, we call this week Holy Week. Can you say that with me? Holy Week. And during Holy Week, we remember all the Bible stories that bring us up to Easter. And it started right now with today, the palms. We wave the palm branches because we remember the story when Jesus came into the city of Jerusalem and the people were so excited, it was like a parade. And they were waving palm branches and they were cheering. And it's almost like these palm branches are props. Does anybody know what's a prop? Does anybody, Avery, do you know what a prop is? Yes, a prop is something that you would use in a play. You might act with it. Anybody else have an idea of what a prop is? Yeah, what do you think? Yeah, something that you would use in a movie or play, even a TV show. Yeah, Andrew, what do you think about a prop? Andrew's looking ahead. So we're going to start with palm branches are a prop that tell us the story of Palm Sunday. And I have more props today to help us listen to the entire story. Oh, well, there is a rooster. There is a rooster in the story. So here's what we're going to do with the props. Can we practice with our palms? Can anybody see behind you? This is a really important prop. Do you see a prop back there? What is that? The cross and a table. So we're going to call that our story table. Can everybody say story table? Story table! And while we learn these stories, we're going to put our props on the story table. So let's start by, if you've got a palm branch with you, why don't you put a palm branch, put that prop on the story table? Can you do that for me? You did it? Once you've added your prop, why don't you scoot away so that everybody gets a chance? Nice. Once you have added your prop to the story table, great job. You are helping us tell the story today. And I am looking for some volunteers to help tell the rest of the story. So here's what's going to happen. Can I tell you what's going to happen next? When the children's sermon is done, we're going to sing a song. And during that song, you can either join me in the back or you can sit with your families. And then we're going to start reading the Bible story. And throughout the Bible story, in bold, are the words that tell us about these props. So one of the props I have is a sealed jar of oil. So this is oil. So when we read this part of the story, if you have a sealed jar of oil, I want you to bring it forward and put it on the story table. All right? This is one of the props, the sealed jar of oil. It's a big part of the story, and it's going to help us learn the story in a different way. Another prop I have is a bag of money. This is another key part of the story. So if you take this prop with you, when we read that part of the story, I want you to bring your prop forward and put it on the story table, okay? We also have, there's a rooster in the story. So this is a prop. When we reach that part of the story, what are you supposed to do? Bring the chicken to the table. Another important prop is fire. So, when we reach this part of the story, if you've got fire, what are you supposed to do? Bring it and put it on the story table. All right, the last prop I have are swords. When we reach that part of the story, you're going to bring it forward and you're going to put it on the story table. All right, now there should be enough for everybody to grab something. But just in case, we're going to go youngest to oldest, okay? So let's start with, if you are 3 years old or 4 years old or 5 years old, come, or 2, or 1, come pick your prop and head back to the table. All right. I'm sorry. Remember, we got to wait till we hear that part of the story, right? I said that wrong. I'm sorry. That was confusing. You got to hold on to your prop until we read your part in the story, okay? All right. If you are 6 years old, you can come grab a prop. Do you want a bag of money? Or do you want one of these? Oh. Do you want one of these? All right. All right. Did I do 7-year-olds yet? If you're 7, come grab a prop. If you are 8, come grab a prop. We still have lots of bags of money. If you are 9, come grab a prop. If you are 10 or 11 or 12 or 13, all right, everybody sit down and hold your props because we are going to say a little prayer. Can you hold your props and pray with me? You can repeat after me. Ready? We're going to pray now. Ready? Swords down. We're going to pray. Dear God, bless these props. Bless these kids. Bless all of us as we hear this Bible story. Bless our Holy Week. In Jesus' name. Amen. All right, you can head back to your sheets, but only if you promise to listen to the Bible story, read along with the grown-up, and we get to your part of the story, bring your prop forward and put it on the table.
The Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread were only 2 days away. The chief priests and the teachers of the law were plotting to arrest Jesus secretly. They wanted to kill him. But not during the feast, they said. The people may stir up trouble.
A woman came with a special sealed jar. It contained very expensive perfume made out of pure nard. She broke the jar open and poured the perfume on Jesus' head. Some of the people there became angry. They said to one another, "Why waste this perfume? It could have been sold for more than a year's pay. The money could have been given to poor people." So they found fault with the woman. "Leave her alone," Jesus said. "Why are you bothering her? She has done a beautiful thing to me. You will always have poor people with you. You can help them any time you want to, but you will not always have me. She did what she could. She poured perfume on my body to prepare me to be buried. And what I'm about to tell you is true. What she has done will be told anywhere the good news is preached all over the world. It will be told in memory of her."
Judas Iscariot was one of the 12 disciples. He went to the chief priests to hand Jesus over to them. They were delighted to hear that he would do this. They promised to give Judas money, so he watched for the right time to hand Jesus over to them.
"You will all turn away," Jesus told the disciples. "It is written, 'I will strike the shepherd down.' Then the sheep will be scattered. But after I rise from the dead, I will go ahead of you into Galilee," Peter said. "All the others may turn away, but I will not." "What I'm about to tell you is true," Jesus answered. "It will happen today. In fact, tonight. Before the rooster crows twice, you yourself will say 3 times that you don't know me." But Peter would not give in. He said, "I may have to die with you, but I will never say I don't know you." And all the others said the same thing.
Jesus and his disciples went to a place called Gethsemane. Jesus said to them, "Sit here while I pray." He took Peter, James, and John along with him. "My soul is very sad." He began to be very upset and troubled. "I feel close to death," he said to them. "Stay here. Keep watch." He went a little further, then he fell to the ground. He prayed that, if possible, the hour might pass by him. "Abba, Father," he said, "everything is possible for you. Take this cup of suffering away from me, but let what you want be done, not what I want." Then he returned to his disciples and found them sleeping. "Simon," he said to Peter, "are you asleep? Couldn't you keep watch for 1 hour? Watch and pray? Then you won't fall into sin when you are tempted. The spirit is willing, but the body is weak." Once more Jesus went away and prayed the same thing, and then he came back. Again he found them sleeping. They couldn't keep their eyes open. They did not know what to say to him. Jesus returned the 3rd time. He said to them, "Are you still sleeping and resting? Enough. The hour has come. Look, the Son of Man is about to be handed over to sinners. Get up, let us go. Here comes the one who is handing me over to them."
Just as Jesus was speaking, Judas appeared. He was one of the 12 disciples. A crowd was with him. They were carrying swords and clubs. The chief priests, the teachers of the law, and the elders had sent them. Judas, who was going to hand Jesus over, had arranged a signal with them. "The one I kiss is the man," he said. "Arrest him and have the guards lead him away." So Judas went to Jesus at once. Jesus said, "Rabbi," and he kissed Jesus. The men grabbed Jesus and arrested him. Then one of those standing nearby pulled his sword out. He struck the servant of the high priest and cut off his ear. "Am I leading a band of armed men against you?" asked Jesus. "Do you have to come out with swords and clubs to capture me? Every day I was with you. I taught in the temple courtyard, and you didn't arrest me. But the scriptures must come true." Then everyone left him and ran away. They all found him guilty and said he must die. Then some began to spit. They blindfolded him. They hit him with their fists. They said, "Prophesy." And the guards took him and beat him.
Not too far away, Peter followed Jesus. He went right into the courtyard of the high priest. There he sat with the guards. He warmed himself at the fire. Peter was below in the courtyard. One of the high priest's female servants came by. When she saw Peter warming himself, she looked closely at him. "You are with Jesus," she said. But Peter said he had not been with him. "I don't know or understand what you're talking about," he said. He went out to the entrance to the courtyard. The servant saw him there. She said again to those standing around, "This fellow is one of them." Again he said he was not. After a little while, those standing nearby said to Peter, "You must be one of them. You are from Galilee." Then Peter began to curse. He said to them, "I don't know this man you're talking about." Right away the rooster crowed the second time. Then Peter remembered what Jesus had spoken to him. "The rooster will crow twice," he had said. "Before it does, you will say 3 times that you don't know me." Peter broke down and cried.
It was very early in the morning. The chief priests, the elders, the teachers of the law, and the whole Sanhedrin made their plans. So they tied Jesus up and led him away. Then they handed him over to Pilate. "Are you the king of the Jews?" asked Pilate. "You have said so," Jesus replied. The chief priest brought many charges against him. So Pilate asked him again, "Aren't you going to answer? See how many things have been they have charged you with." But Jesus still did not reply. Pilate was amazed. It was the usual practice at the Passover feast to let at least one prisoner go free. The people who chose the one they wanted. A man named Barabbas was in prison. He was there with some other people who had fought against the country's rulers. They had committed murder while they were fighting against the rulers. The crowd came up and asked Pilate to do for them what he usually did. "Do you want me to let the king of the Jews go free?" asked Pilate. He knew that the chief priests had handed Jesus over to him because they wanted to get their own way. But the chief priests stirred up a crowd, so the crowd asked Pilate to let Barabbas go free instead. "Then what should I do with the one you call the king of the Jews?" Pilate asked them. "Crucify him!" the crowd shouted. "Why? What wrong has he done?" asked Pilate. But they shouted even louder, "Crucify him!" But Pilate wanted to satisfy the crowd, so he let Barabbas go free. He ordered that Jesus be whipped. Then he handed him over to be nailed to a cross.
The soldiers put a purple robe on Jesus. Then they twisted thorns together to make a crown. They placed it on his head. They began to call out to him, "We honor you, King of the Jews." Again and again they hit him on the head with a stick. They spit on him. They fell on their knees and pretended to honor him. After they had made fun of him, they took the purple robe off. They put his own clothes back on him. Then they led him out to nail him to a cross.
A man named Simon was passing by. He was from Cyrene. He was the father of Alexander and Rufus. Simon was on his way in from the country. The soldiers forced him to carry the cross.
They brought Jesus to the place called Golgotha. The word Golgotha means the place of the skull. Then they gave him wine and mixed with spices. But he did not take it. They nailed him to the cross. Then they divided up his clothes. They cast lots to see what each of them would get.
It was 9:00 in the morning when they crucified him. They wrote out the charge against him. It read, "The King of the Jews."
They crucified with him 2 rebels against Rome. One was on his right and one was on his left. Those who passed by and shouted at Jesus and made fun of him. They shook their heads and said, "So you are going to destroy the temple and build it again in 3 days? Then come down from the cross? Save yourself." In the same way, the chief priests and the teachers of law made fun of him among themselves. "He saved others," they said, "but he can't save himself. Let this Messiah, this King of Israel, come down now from the cross. When we see that, we will believe." Those who were being crucified with Jesus also made fun of him.
At noon, darkness covered the whole land. It lasted 3 hours. At 3:00 in the afternoon, Jesus cried out in a loud voice, my God, why have you deserted me?" Some of those standing nearby heard Jesus cry out. They said, "Listen, he's calling for Elijah." Someone ran and filled a sponge with wine vinegar. He put it on a stick. He offered it to Jesus to drink. "Leave him alone," he said. "Let's see if Elijah comes to take him down." With a loud cry, Jesus took his last breath. The temple curtain was torn in two, from top to bottom. A Roman commander was standing there in front of Jesus. He saw how Jesus died. Then he said, "This man was surely the Son of God."
Not very far away, some women were watching. Mary Magdalene was among them. Mary, the mother of the younger James and of Joseph, was also there. So was Salome. In Galilee, these women had followed Jesus. They had taken care of his needs. Many other women were also there. They had come up with him to Jerusalem.
It was the day before the Sabbath. That day was called Preparation Day. As evening approached, Joseph went boldly to Pilate and asked for Jesus' body. Joseph was from the town of Arimathea. He was a leading member of the Jewish council. He was waiting for God's kingdom. Pilate was surprised to hear that Jesus was already dead. So he called for the Roman commander. He asked him if Jesus had already died. The commander said it was true. So Pilate gave the body to Joseph. Then Joseph bought some linen cloth. He took down the body and wrapped it in the linen. He put it in a tomb cut out of rock. Then he rolled a stone against the entrance to the tomb. Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of Joseph, saw where Jesus' body had been placed. Let us pray. This is the day that it begins, the festival of grief and somehow triumph. The end is near. Jesus, we are beginning to understand that your grace makes no sense. Grace sits next to betrayers. Grace washes the feet of backstabbers. Grace breaks bread with the disloyal. Grace shares a cup with double dealers. Jesus, you are undoing every guarantee that in loving you, I will not lose. You are losing everything. Bless me now as I see your sacrifice, how you are pleading with us to love as your friends break your heart, how you are showing us how to remember when we long to forget, that in your undoing, you remade the world. Go in peace, serve the Lord.
Thanks be to God.